Brent Fox. I'm sorry about the late start time. Once again, I'm a real person living a real life, and things are not going according to schedule. Um, what I want to make sure that I do first and foremost is just kind of reiterate why I'm doing this. I feel like it's actually important. I think something is something is something in my soul is just telling me to kind of just emphasize why I'm doing this. The reason that I'm actually doing this is because it is first and foremost a passion project. I, for the moment, am not in this for notoriety, fame, or significant income. I simply like talking about sports and a few other things, obviously. In the thumbnail, you'll notice that there's a picture of Congresswoman or former Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson. That is who actually gave Jasmine Crockett her seat um, in Congress. Um, what I wanted to do was just kind of go over Eddie Bernice Johnson's contributions, um, of course, to Congress and more importantly toward the Dallas Fort Worth area. Um, Eddie Bernice Johnson actually started off as a nurse. She got involved with politics, actually becoming a civil rights activist in the 60s. From there, basically what happened was she just kind of expanded her role, um, working closely with law firms, and then wound up going into a runoff for a Senate seat, and she surprised everyone and won. She was not supposed to win that, and she did. She was, I believe, the congressperson for District 30, I think, and she held that particular seat. I know just offhand um, for a good portion of the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, I believe. And she wound up giving over her seat to one Jasmine Crockett. So Eddie Bernice Johnson has she's emphasized her policies, and not policies, but she's emphasized her work. Huh? Hey, what's going on? Limitless. Uh, I don't know what that means. All right. Okay. Okay. I got you. Okay. I mean, I appreciate that. Um, but if I don't know what something like that actually means, like in context, and I appreciate the explanation, I'm just not gonna say that. But I mean, yeah, I was pretty smooth at one point in time. Um, but what I was mentioning about Eddie Bernice Johnson was that her contributions towards the Dallas Fort Worth area um, were second to none, especially when it came to education, civil rights, and just overall assistance with programs for after school, things of that nature to try to help the kids in like the city of Dallas out so they could kind of stay out of trouble and have resources to actually go to better themselves and their communities around them, of course. Um, yeah, but nah, I appreciate that, Dale. Good looking out, man. Thank you. But what I was trying to mention here was that you know, I myself, as a Dallas kid, really did appreciate the contributions that Eddie Bernice Johnson gave, and it really helped out as far as day-to-day living, making sure that kids had resources like recreation centers and stuff like that, or programs at recreation centers, just so the kids would have something to do, other than stuff they're not supposed to be doing, like after school. Um, but what I also wanted to kind of segue into uh, was that, of course, we want to make sure that we acknowledge historical black figures, not just this month, but really every month. So I don't know. Maybe I'll probably just try and throw someone in there at least once a month that is an historical black figure, because it's not just black history, it is American history, because we are Americans too. Um, all right. So, hi. Um, On to sports. So, if anyone here is a fan of boxing, Shakur Stevenson scheduled or was scheduled to have a fight against a gentleman by the name of Floyd Kid Austin Schofield. Now, unfortunately, Kid Austin pulled out of the fight due to an illness, which I guess at this point could be legitimate. However, there were some outlandish claims made by his camp, particularly his father, just mentioning why they were unable to attend press conferences and meetings regarding the fight. And now that it appears that Floyd Schofield has fallen ill, no one seems to believe that, because of the outlandish claims of his father. Um, First, I think it was a situation to where they were unable to come to a London press conference for Ring Magazine due to supposedly some member Shakur Stevenson's camp came by and ripped pages out of their passport to where they were unable to use their passport to go overseas. Then there was a situation in which their tires for their all of their rental vehicles, which I think were 5 or 6 rental vehicles, had been slashed by yet another member, or possibly the same member of Shakur Stevenson's camp, um, not allowing them to make certain press conferences or be able to travel to the airport as well. And then, of course, more recently, there was a situation in which um, Kid Austin fell very ill and was unable to fight. Of course, when most boxing fans heard this, they thought it was an excuse to actually pull out, and that pretty much Floyd Schofield III was a coward. Um, I had recently written a article about Kid Austin, um, which could be found in the Punch Junkie magazine. Um, but at the time, he was an up and coming prospect, um, who was a very exciting fighter to watch. He he showed pretty good potential up until that particular point. And now I think what is bound to happen is that, unfortunately, the career of Floyd Schofield, aka Kid Austin, is going to basically wind up being hurt tremendously, and then he's he's basically going to have to start from scratch. Having said that, um, if he does, excuse me, if he does anything else, I think that it's probably going to wind up being a low profile local set of fights. um, we in Dallas used to have like these sometimes we'd have these pop-up fights where people would literally, like professional fighters, would literally um, fight in club parking lots. Um, they would have a setup, of course, and however they got this sanction was some sort of small miracle. They once had a fight set up in a club parking lot and under a tent, and then people would pay to go see the fight under a tent, and and that's how people would make their money. Um, to be honest with you, as janky as it actually sounded, it was pretty successful. Um, and I think, oh my goodness, uh, it was we had a guy named Kirk. I think it was Kirk Bubba Johnson, um, that actually had one of those pop-up fights in a tent outside of a club, and it wound up being somewhat of a successful production. I would not recommend people do that, especially nowadays, but nonetheless, it was somewhat successful. But unfortunately, Kid Austin is going to have to start from scratch. There's not going to be a whole lot of phone calls or knocks at the door at this particular point, just because of how this actually went down. Um, this is a very bad case of where the camp makes the fighter suffer, which is very important, to make sure that people know that they need to watch the people that they're surrounded by. They need to watch the people that actually do business with them or for them on their behalf, uh, or else you have disasters like this, which could legitimately cost you your career. Um, I do wish, or sincerely wish rather, Kid Schofield, I'm sorry, Kid Austin, Floyd Schofield, a a bounce back or recovery for his career. But it's going to be a long, hard road to redemption on this one. People just won't be able to trust him, and unfortunately, he's going to have to start from scratch, like I mentioned before. So, I am I am very anxious to see if he can actually withstand this major test, as far as just reconstructing his career and then finding his way back uh, to the top level of boxing. Time will tell if he's able to try to get this done. And I am rooting for him, but it seems unlikely that he would be able to try to get his career back on track. In other news, Daniel Dubois also fell ill. They were on the same card, so I think that, oh my goodness, Joseph Parker is going to have to find another opponent. I think it may be the gentleman that well, not just, well, it may be the gentleman that actually, I think it was Bercoli, that Martin Bercoli, who actually defeated Jared Big Baby Anderson, who fought not too long ago, and he actually knocked Jared Anderson out. So that would still be a very interesting fight, even on short notice. Broccoli is a very dangerous opponent, so it would not surprise me if he were able to get a major upset as far as fighting Joseph Parker, because Joseph Parker didn't prepare for this guy. He was preparing for Daniel Dubois, who actually got sick and now is out of the fight, as far as I know at this point. Those things are subject to change, but as far as I know at this particular point today, Daniel Dubois is actually out of that particular tournament. And then you have the main event, which is, of course, Arthur Beterbiev against Dmitry Bivol. This is going to be the second edition of their series. Beterbiev won by a very controversial decision. And the reason I call it a very controversial decision is because there are a great number of people that thought Bivol actually won the fight. I myself could see a draw. I'm not mad at the decision that Beterbiev actually got the victory. But at the same time, I think that if Bivol actually does just a bit more, not too much, but just a little bit more. Hey, Thomas, what's happening, brother? Salute, man. Thank you so much for coming by, brother. Um, but yes, if Bivol just puts a little bit more work into in this particular fight, he may actually get the decision that he was looking for the first fight. So I would probably be on the lookout for him as far as more punching or more volume punching rather. I would look for him to actually take a few more chances, throw quite a few more combinations, especially to the body, and of course utilize that wonderful jab that he actually has as well. I'm very excited about that particular fight. Of course, um, I would love to see the winner actually fight David Benavidez. At this point, um, am not worried about one Canelo Alvarez. Um, and I'll just mention the fighter briefly because I have a great deal of respect for the fighter. But as you all know, if you follow my channel, I do not have any respect for Canelo Alvarez Productions, which is his promotion group. Um, they're just very untrustworthy. They will not or refuse to give the fans what they've been clamoring for years, which is an actual fight with someone who can threaten to beat him. Now, Canelo Alvarez Productions have actually made the mistake of fighting Dimitri Bivol a few years back and was quite literally a cherry pick gone wrong. At this particular point, since he is still practicing that behavior, I don't think that he has learned his lesson, and I do believe that he will again do another cherry pick. And I sincerely hope that that actually goes wrong for him as well. Um, Moving on to other news, Canelo Davis, or AKA Tank Davis. All right, I guess that will conclude the show.